In Rise of Kingdoms, Marauders have historically been one of the best places to spend your action points, but is that still true in 2026? Is it just as good value as it used to be? Is it potentially better value, or have Marauders been nerfed over the years? These are the questions that we're going to answer in today's video with the help of Yaros, a player who is in my Discord and was kind enough to share the results of 711 Marauder chests that they just opened at this point a little less than 2 weeks ago. So I want to take this moment to thank you, Yaros, for sharing this information over on my Discord. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing your name. But before we jump in and take a look at what they got from 711 Kingdom supply chests, as you guys know, I am a partner creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content like this that helps you maximize the value that you get on your account, make sure you drop a thumbs up down below. It really does help out the channel a ton. Subscribe if you're new here, because we just hit 97,000 subscribers, and thank Yaros in the comments down below for sharing this information with us, so that way all of you have the most up-to-date information when it comes to the value you can get from Marauders. Now, before we take a look at the contents of 711 Kingdom supply chests, we have to ask ourselves, how are we gonna know if the contents of these chests have changed at all? And the answer is actually really simple. I have done videos like this over the years, and we're just gonna compare what results Yaros gets from these Kingdom supply chests to the drop rate that we saw years ago. So back in October of 2024, I actually did a video similar to this, and those Kingdom supply chests were obtained by a player who goes by the name of Boogie. And back then, Boogie had 1,225 Kingdom supply chests, and so if we just calculate the drop rate of each individual item from these Marauder chests, what we'll be able to do is compare the drop rate from October of 2024 to the drop rate of June of 2026. But before we go ahead and see what's in the 711 Kingdom supply chests, we have to first cover what we know is definitely different between now and 2024. These are things that are not speculation. They are already observable in Rise of Kingdoms, and the developers literally came out and told us about these changes. So number one, as of January of 2026, Marauders actually cost more action points than they did back in October of 2024 when we got our previous data from Boogie. The reason for this is because now Marauders actually give you crystals. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, back in the day, Marauders did not give you any crystals towards KvK. Now they do. They give you the same amount of crystals that you would get from a barbarian level 41 to 44. So that bracket right there, whatever the crystal drop rate is for those, is the exact same for Marauders now. So you get crystals, but it costs more action points. We know these things are definitely true. Another thing that has changed is that Marauders are now available in Lost Kingdom and in Home Kingdom. So back in the day, Marauders were only available in Home Kingdom because it was during pre-KvK, and back in the day, pre-KvK took place in your home kingdom. These days, pre-KvK occurs in the Lost Kingdom itself, but just because we do pre-KvK in the Lost Kingdom now doesn't mean Marauders aren't in your home kingdom as well. And this is something that maybe some of you didn't know. I didn't know this personally myself until this most recent KvK that I'm in right now. But yes, Marauders are in your home kingdom and in your Lost Kingdom. So if you do find yourself in a Lost Kingdom that is very cramped in your starting zone, don't worry about it. You can go back to your home kingdom, find a corner of a zone all to yourself, and just go to town killing Marauders. And the fourth thing that we know has changed for sure with Marauders is that you can actually use the new auto peacekeeping feature to kill Marauders exclusively. Okay, so before, when auto peacekeeping first came out, I'm pretty sure Marauders weren't actually included there, and that has changed. Now, of course, I can't show you here because Marauders are not available, but they do have their own section here where you can just pick Marauders, and your armies will exclusively kill Marauders automatically as long as your game is open on your phone, on another monitor, or whatever the case might be. And that's a really nice change because now you don't have to be glued to your screen for 2 days straight just to get decent amounts of points, as long as you actually have AP to spend here. Okay, so now that we know what is definitely different about Marauders between now and October of 2024, let's take a look at what we actually get from the Kingdom supply chests once Yaros actually opens it. So we see we've got a ton of Tombs of Knowledge, some crystal keys, 3-hour speed ups. We've got some infantry blueprint fragments, which is kind of crazy. We had some green iron there, some gems. We have some blue iron, the elite iron, even more gems, 24 1-day speed ups. We have 44 of the green leather, 45 of the blue leather. We had more speed ups, more resources, more gems, some 3-day speed ups. Okay, so that's 9 3-day speed ups. We've we've got some gold, some animal bones, and some stone. Don't worry if you didn't catch all that, because we pulled all of this into a spreadsheet just like I did back in 2024. So let's take a look at what the total food, wood, stone, gold is. We'll see the total resources, then we'll tally up all of the gems, the credits, speed ups, experience, and then all of the different materials, so that way we know exactly what Yaros got. And here you can see that there's 128 million food, 107.5 million wood, 93.3 million stone, 52.6 million gold, for a total of 381.5 million resources. We also see 17,050 gems, which is actually really nice. The other thing that I want to mention here is that you also get gems from killing the Marauders themselves, right? So not just the kingdom supply chests, but also the Marauders. Just like they drop crystals, they drop the other things that regular barbarians would drop as well, and that includes gems. I unfortunately do not have that information from Yaros as far as I know. In the video they shared to my Discord, there's actually no gems in the resources tab of their account, so they probably used them as they were going. If they had 0 gems at the start of this, then we can assume it's 29,000, but that's just, I don't know for sure. I don't know if that's actually what happened here. So Yaros, if you're watching, let us know in the comment section below if you kept track of how many gems you got just from the Marauders. Let us know. And I would also love to know how many crystals you got. Did you only get these crystals from the Marauders? I'm sure lots of people are curious about that. Anyway, moving on with the data, as you can see, total credits obtained was 3.7 million. Total speed up hours was 2,320. We have 4.5 million total experience, 18 total purple leather. Okay, so what I've done here is just convert the green and the blue into their purple equivalents. Okay, and then we've added that all up together. That's how this data was calculated. Okay, same thing with the purple iron. We have 22.88 purple iron, 19.88 total purple ebony, and 6.25 total purple bone. Okay, so we get less bone than we see anywhere else, and that's because they don't even drop purple bone. Okay, which is really nice. So the total amount of materials that were obtained besides bone, okay, so I subtracted bone from the total here, was 60.75 total purple materials, which is kind of nice. Here I've calculated the amount of resources that you get per kingdom supply chest on average, right? Amount of gold per chest, gems per chest is 13.92. Okay, so that kind of rounds to about 14 gems per kingdom supply chest, which is nice. This is the amount of speed up hours per kingdom supply chest. Okay, so 1.9 hours per chest, and then purple materials per chest is 0.05 roughly. Okay, so again, we've got total gems. We have a total of 97 days worth of speed ups. I guess that's a little bit rounded there, 96.6. And then total gold materials without bone is 15.18. Okay, so 15 legendary materials, 17,000 gems, 97 days of speed ups, 381 million resources, and then on top of all of that are all of the crystals, resources, and gems that you get just from killing the Marauders themselves. Okay, so now that we have the raw data here and we know exactly what Yaros got from all of these kingdom supply chests, the real question is, how does this compare to Marauders from October of 2024? So what you'll see in this column is the drop rate that Yaros got from their kingdom supply chest just now in June of 2026. In the column next to them is the drop rate that we saw from Boogie back in October of 2024. I literally just copy and pasted the drop rates, and they're lined up exactly with the same item in the same table. Okay, and then what I've got here is the percent change from 2024 to 2026, and I have this conditionally color coded such that things that went up by more than 0.5% are in green, things that went down by more than 0.5% are red, and everything in between is in yellow. And what we'll see here is that a majority of this table is completely unchanged. What that means is the drop rate of all of these items is basically exactly the same. Now there are some things that are higher and lower. For example, the 500,000 food is 0.76% higher, the 500,000 wood is almost 1% lower, same thing with the stone. If we look at the gold, it's 1.38% higher. Okay, so that's the highest thing in this entire table that has changed, is the 200,000 gold. Okay, if we look at the 1,000 credits, it just barely makes the cut, it's 0.52% higher. The 8-hour speed ups are 0.9% lower, the 10,000 experience are 0.8% higher, and the blue iron was actually 0.58% higher as well. Now the 0.5% cutoff that I used is arbitrary. There's no statistical significance there. That's just a way that I wanted to see like what were the outliers in this table, considering everything everything realistically is pretty close. Okay, so what conclusions can we draw from this data now that we compare it to 2024? Well, the answer is probably that the drop rates are unchanged. I know that I have this color coded, but realistically only one thing here is changed by more than a single percent. Okay, so now it is possible that the developers did go in and tweak the numbers slightly so that way we get a little bit more gold, because that has been the resource that has been the highest concern for players over the years. Perhaps the developers did that as a response to players' outcry regarding the amount of resources that they consume during KVK. Maybe they tweaked it a little bit, right? But realistically, that's the only thing that's changed by more than a percent. So like, I'm not comfortable saying that they definitely did that. Okay, really, there's not much statistical significance when it comes to the percent change from 2024 to 2026. So what do we learn from all this, right? Well, first of all, it's my understanding, and this is just my estimate based on what I know about the game and other videos I've seen, but Yaros probably spent about 550,000 AP to get 711 chests. Okay, now again, if he's watching this video and he wants to comment down below and let us know how much AP exactly you spent, that would be super helpful. But just estimating, I would say between 550,000 to 570,000 action points. So in a world where the drop rate for the most valuable things in the kingdom supply chest has not seemingly changed based on the hundreds and hundreds of chests we've compared, I think that's actually a win. Right now, again, it does cost more AP, but in exchange for that, you're getting crystals. So now you actually have an incentive to do Marauders now that pre-KVK is in your Lost Kingdom, right? There was actually a weird middle ground where like pre-KVK was in Lost Kingdom and there were Marauders, but you wouldn't get crystals for them. So you kind of felt bad about that. It's like, you know, you're spending all this AP, you're not getting crystals for it, so you're not making progress for your crystal tech. So that was like a weird middle ground where it's like, should you do KVK barbs or should you do Marauders, right? Well, now you don't have to think about that anymore because they give you crystals, right? And the concern would be like, okay, now they cost more AP and they give you crystals, but maybe the developers changed the drop table and you get worse rewards from them as a result of the fact that you get crystals, right? And it seems to be that that is not the case. Okay, so really the conclusion that I'm drawing here is that Marauders are just a win all around, right? You can do them with the auto barbing feature. They're in your home kingdom and Lost Kingdom, so there should be no problem competing over Marauders. You can just go wherever they're most abundant, and all the AP that you're spending on Marauders, you know that you're still making progress on your crystals as well, and you're getting a ton of great rewards as a result. So in my opinion, in 2026, Marauders are still one of the best possible places to spend your action points in all of Rise of Kingdoms, because everyone needs progress on their crystal tech, whether you're free to play or a heavy spender. I guess, you know, super giga whales don't really need to kill Marauders, but for most of us watching, okay, getting a sufficient amount of crystals and crystal resource value is very high. And so now knowing that stacking on top of that, you're getting all these great rewards from the kingdom supply chests, Marauders are still one of the best places to spend AP in the game. Now, there are better places to spend AP, right? Like I would argue spending AP during the 7k gem event is really valuable as well, because you get a ton of legendary commander sculptures and all the other rewards there. But you know, some of the things that you might really want from Marauders are not present there, right? You don't get crystals from 7k gem events. I don't recall exactly how many materials you get from them either, but what I'm trying to say, it's a give and take, right? And then beyond that, of course, pretty much the best place to spend action points is just chaining barbarians, right? I mean, that is going to get you a multiplicative value for the same action point spend, but it is very time intensive, and it also depends on, you know, barbarian spawn density and how many other people are doing the same thing as you. If there's players that are auto barbing near you and they just run through your chain, right? Like, so there's pros to cons to that as well, but certainly for free to play players, that is definitely the best place to spend your action points, especially in the Lost Kingdom, where you do get, like I said, crystals for that. It's just the best value, right? But all in all, I think Marauders are definitely one of the best places to spend action points in the entire game, so you really should never feel bad about that. As long as you've got enough AP for upcoming events, definitely go ahead and spend a ton during pre-KVK when Marauders land in the game, because you're going to get a lot of value there. Like I said, quick recap here, 711 chests, they got almost 97 days of universal speed ups and 15 legendary materials on top of all the resources and gems they got as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you still think Marauders are really good value? Do you think they're better value now than ever, now that you actually get crystals from them? Or are you a little bit upset still that they cost more interaction points. Let me know in the comment section below, and if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you found it informative or helpful, please consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really does help out the channel a ton. If you're on mobile, use the new hype feature. That also really helps out the channel. Subscribe while you're down there, and with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.